Mikhail's Fantasy. You're So Ugly When You Cry, Chapter 5. The sense of omegas and alphas became unbearable. I had thought certain ones to be pungent before, but after the alpha woke up, it wanted to claw its way up the Alphess's train dress and growl right in her face. Was it mad? Only madness would tempt death. I dismissed all of my servants. I didn't care which ones were omegas or alphas or betas. They all had to go. I was dragged to school, where the beady eyes of my classmates felt like rifles pointed at my head. I knew they were talking about me. I knew they were waiting for me to show them my neck so they could tear me to pieces. More than once, I had thought someone had issued a nonverbal challenge only to be hauled into the headmaster's office and given pills that made the alpha go away for a little while. What would happen if the pills stopped working? What would happen if I didn't have any nearby? This was put to the test at a party, of course. I had learned my lesson for venturing off to find safety and solace in some random corner. But this was the day the Alphess deigned to make peace with the vendettas in public. We stood on a grand staircase of steps, me and Roni, our fathers, and the Alphess's current husband to the left, staring out into a vast sea of reporters and flashes of light. At some point, I could no longer see. There were so many blue shapes covering my vision. And to the right, the vendettas. A father and his 2 children. Only Banna was dressed in finery. Sir Vendetta had patches on his elbows and a rip in his hat. Bama Vendetta wore his military garb, though his boots were worn thin. They stood proud. We, the imbroglios, stood so as not to be seen outshining the Alphess. I thought I wouldn't be able to see for the rest of the day, but just as we were leaving, a flash of red made me look at the simple white car behind our limousine. Banna's curly hair sprung in the breeze. She wrapped most of it in a fist as she lowered herself into the car. She bit her lip in concentration. I could not get in the limousine. Roni tried to grab my arm, but I was too fast. My father's hand came out to grab my shoulder. He turned me around, then faltered, stepping clean away from me. He brushed off the entire episode later, treating me as his daughter in those few moments I was allowed to see him, but I knew the truth. Whatever he had seen that day had scared him. It scared me, too. It wasn't an itch. Banna Vendetta's teeth wedged on her pouty bottom lip was not something that needed to be scratched, checked off, done. I found a quiet corner, and I dry heaved for what felt like millennia. The pit of my stomach sank horrendously, as if it was trying to leave my body through my womb or something. Even the tips of my fingers, the nipples of my breasts, tingled, burned. It wasn't an itch. It could not be scratched away. The throbbing was the worst part. The friction as I tried to keep my legs closed did not matter. The image of Banna Vendetta's lips repeated on a loop, and the throbbing came in pulses, unabatable pulses, until who would show up other than the Alphess? "You're late," she said, and then she thrust something wrapped in a silk bag at my chest, forcing me to take it in hand. "Take care of it for now. I've cleared the area." When I saw the oblong object within the folds of the discreet black bag, I felt the first tears well up. I accidentally clicked a button, and the thing wormed from top to bottom, rolling in a way that mesmerized me for a few stunned heartbeats. Humiliation did not cover what I did that day on the side of the Galleria's famous steps. Weddings took place here. Politicians celebrated their candidacies here. Fundraisers for sick children happened here. The Alphess had our family's guards stationed in a grid all around me. I knew they could smell it. The spike in my pheromones. Even I could smell it, and I'd never been able to smell my own pheromones before. This was it then. This was the thing I had looked down on and despised of other alphas for all my life. This unstoppable thing that would not leave on its own, not without the standing ovation of a grand exorcism. But it was only temporary, for this curse was a ritual haunting. I was a beast. Mind over matter didn't exist. I was just like everybody else. It was only a matter of time before I lost control, wasn't it? It was only a matter of time before I stopped thinking of this feeling as a parasitic thing that didn't belong. I would be worn down eventually. Death was the only answer. Banna had helped me see that. The alpha inside of me, that thing I kept at bay with only the remnants of my will, looked at Banna Vendetta laid out on the ground. We were two crescents making an oblong circle. The knuckles on her hands were scraped raw, blood cascading down her fingers. I remembered that sensation before we fell. So it was she who had saved my head from cracking open. The alpha hummed in self-satisfaction that its prey was close at hand. I was terrified, out of my wits. I didn't know what it would do to her. I didn't know what I would do to her. I don't ever want to hurt you, I said. I scooted one more foot away. I should go. You already did that. She smoothed out her hair, much longer now that it was straight. So we can move forward from here, right? My mind blanked, and my first thought was that I had gotten to her in my sleep. Was I so deranged that I couldn't remember stumbling up to the Vendetta's cottage and doing something horrible to her in the dead of night? She sighed heavily, sitting up. It looked difficult, for the dress was only restrictive in the places where a body naturally liked to bend. Wait, just wait. What is that look for? What are you panicking about now? I didn't come here to cause a fuss, I said slowly. I just wanted to see you off. I still will always wish you well. Sunny. Would you look at me, please? I have a confession. I couldn't look her in the face, so my gaze hovered somewhere by her knees. One of them was adorned in white, tights that shimmered in iridescence. The other knee was bare, but they folded one atop the other. My throat worked to swallow, but there was nothing to swallow. Why was that enough to make the alpha excited? They're just knees. But why was she wearing one stocking? One thin, barely there stocking? I was a little unfair to you when we were young, she said, though I wasn't really paying attention. After the first couple of times we talked, I noticed that you started spreading your pheromones whenever I got near you, and you started to be all protective. Sunny, hey, are you listening to me? Yes. What did I just say? You ripped your tights, but made do with the one leg.